it takes to launch Facebook. That's what's going on.
So you get all the insider jokes.
Maybe we'll delete it later. Maybe not. Here's your chance for a joke, Rhoda. 72.
Oh, 72, guys.
Finance agents,
So
72. What are you going to do with that?
72.
Oh, here we go. 5, 4, 3.
27 more. 27 weeks.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Finance Agents Live. This is episode number 72 and the last show
72.
of
Is my
2018.
mom 72?
You know, 2018 plus 72, that's something there, right? Oh, it's just 90. It doesn't make anything. All right. Show 72, last show of the year, last show of 2018. We are not going to be here next week because I'm going to be on a cruise. Rhoda's going to be wherever the heck Rhoda goes every weekend. Where are you going to be? Michigan, Colorado?
I'm going to Colorado.
Los Angeles.
Christmas.
Going to Colorado. You're going to have a white Christmas. I'm going to have a white sand Christmas.
So.
We're all going to be doing something fun. I hope you're with your family. I hope you don't miss me.
Or people you like. If
And
you don't like your family, I love my family.
Whoever you want to be with, enjoy your Christmas. We appreciate you coming on the show and hope you just have about the best Christmas ever. And as a part of that, we want to help set you up with a gift. All right? This is our present to you. This show, we're going to reveal some insider secrets. You may have heard of some of these, but there's no way you've heard of all of them. All of them have come from our over $1 billion in funding experience, over $1 billion in transactions funded over 10 years at least. We learned a thing or two about making sure that you're going to get funding, and we've seen what kills deals that come out of nowhere. You're like, what the heck happened there? I thought she was getting funding, and it didn't happen. So we're going to tell you how to avoid those problems or what you can do if you have one of those problems, maybe one of the workarounds. All right, so today is Top 10 Secrets from Underwriters, and we're joined by our Underwriter-in-Chief, Rhoda P. What's up, Rhoda?
Great.
Give a shout out.
How are you, Tim? A lot of energy.
Weren't ready for that, okay. All right, so she is just so excited to get into these Underwriter tips.
Well, I kept
She
doing
doesn't even know
10
what to say.
secrets for 10 years, and how could I play with the
Oh,
numbers?
one secret per year?
One secret per year.
We got more than 10 secrets per year. We only put 10 on this show. We got a bunch of other ones we're saving for other shows. It's going to be that exciting. If you're watching this and we say something you don't get, that's cool. Put it in the chat. Hopefully Darren's watching and he'll shout it out to us and we can respond to any questions you have. If he's not responding, just keep pounding. Say, Darren, dang it, get me on the show, right?
Yep. No, I'm taking a look. I'm making sure. I'm checking all the comments. We're good to go. If you do have any questions, definitely write it in that comment section because otherwise you're just going to be guessing and we won't know.
Yeah, and frankly, I don't know what to talk about anyway. So write something in there and I can respond and it might make it more interesting. I'm just kidding.
And if you have something that you want us to talk about on future shows, also put it in the chat box. We are more than happy to take suggestions, things you want to learn about.
In fact, I just saw one this morning. Someone on one of our other videos posted the question, what are you looking for in the ideal agent? Who's your ideal agent? So we'll do a show in the future where we talk about who's our ideal agent.
Interesting.
Now, going a little bit ahead here, we're not going to have a show next week, which would be something like December 26th. You can kind of guess why. But the week after that, January, it's Christmas, man. We're going to be closed. After that, I believe it's January 2nd, we're going to do our annual show of the year where we talk about how to make that year the best year ever. And we tell you all the good things that happened in 2018 and how you can use it to your benefit in 2018 to either get a lot of funding or make a lot of money helping other people get the funding they need. All right, so without any further ado, let's jump into Underwriter top secret number 1. What do we got here, Rhodes?
This one is check your NAICS or SIC code and how your CPA has classified you for IRS purposes.
Is that how it's pronounced?
SIC?
SIC? Darren, you got the wrong. Oh, no, that was right.
NAICS code?
NAICS? NAICS, I think it's SIC code.
I
call it the SIC code.
NAICS or SIC code.
Okay, if somebody says NAICS or SIC, I say SIC.
When I worked at the law firm, we called it your NAICS code. So
Did you?
Yeah, we
okay,
didn't say NAICS.
You have more experience with
I just love the fact that you call it your SIC code. Man, that's sick.
What is the NAICS code? I don't know.
All right, that's real sick. Okay.
I don't think that's the way it works.
SIC code, industry code. I don't know what the standardized industry code or national aggregated industry code standardization. I'm making stuff up here. Doesn't matter what we have. There are 2 systems out there with 2 different numbering systems where whatever your business is, it can be defined in a specific way. When you file your taxes, you have to designate what your company is. So most people don't know this, understandably. Most CPAs don't come and say, hey, what's your SIC code? They say, what do you do? Or maybe they don't do that at all. Maybe they just mix something up. And I've seen it happen a lot where somebody's going through the funding process. The lender looks at your SIC code or whatever it is, and they say, whoa, I'm sorry, we don't lend to Carnival Acts. You're like, I'm not a Carnival Act, I'm a jewelry store or something. I've seen some crazy stuff. What's one of the weirdest non sequitur SIC codes you've seen?
One of the ones that it comes to mind, I think why this came up, is we were working with a tech company who did a lot of website stuff, and they had been classified as a finance company, and that is a real big flag for lenders, and that was probably one of the biggest ones to overcome, is getting the CPA to issue a letter saying that it had been misclassified as a finance company when they weren't doing any financing, but it was a tech company.
Yeah, you're actually talking about us.
Yeah! That's how we got here.
We were listed as a lender.
Yeah.
Finance agents, we're not a lender. You could call us a broker, or an organization for the training and support of other agents. We have a big technology side to us. So when we went to the CPA and said, hey, we'd rather be listed as a technology company that we do all this technology stuff and support, we're definitely not a direct lender at Finance Agents. We have other entities that are direct lenders. So our CPA just sort of made it up, put lender. And if you go to the bank and say you're a lender, the bank says, hey, if you're lending out money, you don't need our money.
Right.
Get out of here. Right? We wanted to do some development work. We like the cheap rates. Hey, the bank rates are cheaper than ours. So
Right.
I like bank debt versus ours. So that was a problem, and we had to have it switched. Now, if you're in the process and you go apply at the bank, and they say, we don't like your SIC code, it's pretty much too late, right? Once they see it there, it's real hard to fix it. You need to fix it proactively before they see it, which is what we did. We saw it because we know this tip, and we fixed it in advance, and it wasn't a problem.
Yeah,
but if we'd already turned it in, it would have been a problem.
And there's a broad category. They start with, like, let's say ambulances, and then an ambulance, and it gets more specific, goes down, and then the last one is ambulance services, all other. So sometimes that catch-all, all other, or we see that a lot with real estate and construction, is it starts with a broad one, and then it can just funnel you into all other. And so if you have questions about that, or your client has questions about that, have them think about future funding purposes, and that dump category is a good.
Right. Let's say you're in real estate and you buy properties, fix them up, and then hold them and rent them out. You could be a real estate investment company, or you could be a property management company. Both are accurate representations of your business. There's no one thing that says everything you're going to do. If you're going to go to a bank and apply as a real estate investment company or a property management company, you're in general going to have better success focusing on the property management side. That's a more stable, consistent businesses the banks are okay to lend to. Anyway, that's just a specific example. There's a million different ones, but you want to take control of what your CPA is putting down. Don't leave it up to somebody else to guess. All right, next one that we have here is what?
Payroll services and tax liens, and why people get tax liens a lot for their business.
Right, okay, the number one, when somebody applies for financing and you have tax liens, barring a few very small exceptions, that is going to kill your financing, right? And the number one type of tax lien that we see are payroll tax liens. Why? Because they creep up on you and they're nasty. You're supposed to be holding 30% every time you run payroll. If you're running payroll and you're not doing the correct withholdings, which it's pretty easy to mess up, you got federal and state, you mess it up and the government comes to you, they're going to hit you with a big tax lien. You're probably not going to be able to pay it all at once. It's a big problem. But there's an easy solution. Get a payroll service like ADP. ADP ensures that they're doing the payroll right, and if they screw it up, they pay for it, all right? So that's a huge relief, and you know that you're never going to run into a payroll problem. I've seen it myself. I try to run payroll myself using some tool for my wife's company, and it got complicated quickly. I also saw another company that we're working with. They laid off their employees and stopped running payroll, but the government, if you stop reporting, they just assume you're paying out the same amount of money, and that business got hit with a $8,000 tax request, even though they had no employees and no payroll. So there's a lot of complicated stuff. Using a payroll service will help you avoid it completely.
Worth the fee of the ADP? That's
yeah, it's not
expensive?
much. It's pretty relatively cheap. Okay, next, what's another good tip for helping people get funding?
Reporting your income on taxes and making sure that, particularly with traditional funding, strategizing with your CPA how much income you want to report, or not necessarily want to report for tax evasion, but being strategic in the taxes you want to pay, having net income and paying taxes and being qualified for traditional funding, and working with them in advance so they know that your long-term business goals.
Right, when you go to the bank, they're going to look at your monthly net profit and say that's the amount of money, or actually less than that, you know, some portion of that is what you have available to make your monthly debt payments, right? So if you show that you have no net profit because you're a whiz at tax avoidance, I'm not saying tax evasion, but you're having some cash business that you might go right into your pocket, and that happens to be all your profit. Or you just take a lot
of deductions.
Yeah, right? If you get real aggressive on your deductions,
right,
and you're not showing net profit, you are probably not going to get good institutional traditional financing. And so there's a balance between reporting income, right? Don't roll that, just show some net profit. Generally, if you're getting, what's the percentage of monthly net profit that's available for debt servicing on something like an SBA loan?
I'm sorry, someone's talking to me off camera. I was distracted. Can you repeat that? Sorry.
If you got $10,000 a month in monthly net profit, how much of that is available per the bank for a payment? So they're not going to say you can make a $10,000. Is it 7 or 5?
They'll discount it. So for every $1.25 that you make, you can allocate $1 of that for debt servicing. So they're going to use that about 25% for debt service.
So if you're getting $1,250 a month in net profit, they think you can afford a payment of about $1,000.
Right, right.
And then if it's a 3-year, 7-year, 10-year loan, that depends on, it has a big impact on how much money. You're not going to get $500,000 if you're not showing any net profit. It's just not going to happen.
No. Good rule of thumb for SBAs particularly is if you want to show about $25,000 net profit, then is when you're going to qualify. And you can have add back. So if you have depreciation or amortization or anything like that, we can add that towards your net profit. But generally speaking, when I see negative net profit or people filing losses, even with add backs, it's hard to get them to a place where we can get them debt servicing unless they had a large one-time expense or something like that. But I also know a lot of small business owners, like getting an SBA is really a goal, or it's a good rate, good term, and so they want to have that. And working with your CPA and making sure they understand your business goals so that they can work with you to have that in their head as well is just, it's a good conversation to have.
Right, plan a couple years in advance. If you don't know what the heck an add back is, this is all CPA stuff and accounting stuff, so your CPA is the person you want to talk to. By the way, self-prepared tax returns come under triple scrutiny, by the way. That's an extra tip. That's tip number 10 and a half. All right, what do we got next here, Darren? All right, the next one, you don't know what the heck it is.
Investing is better than borrowing.
Investing in your business is better than borrowing for your business. And there's a specific use case we're talking about here. What are we talking about? You said you figured it out?
The BDRA. And if you have the money yourself in a 401k or from a previous employer, you just roll it over and don't take a loan out at all.
Right. If you got money in your 401k just sitting there, maybe it's had a good return the next couple of years, maybe it's going to be bad the next couple of years, you never know. You could pull out of there, invest in your business, and every dollar in interest or payment or principal, everything you pay, you're paying to yourself. You want to pay money to a bank, or you want to pay money to yourself, right? That's a win-win right there. So if you got the money, it's better to use that than get a loan.
What do you think with the stock market right now? It's a good time to do your BDRA rollover or hold off till next year? What do you think if you're starting a business?
Look, nobody has a crystal ball, but we're at the end of a 10-year bull run. Things have been going up for way longer. I think it's the longest bull run in the history of our country. I don't know if it's going to be next month or next year or 2 years, but the market is going to turn, and when it turns, it often turns. That's why they call it a bear market, because it goes.
What was
That's
that
not
again?
a joke. Just like it goes down fast. It comes up slowly like a bull, and it goes down fast. So if I were you, I would get the money out and invest it in your business, and make sure it's a recession-proof business. I wouldn't be investing in Bitcoin or something speculative right now.
Okay.
Okay. Next.
Tip. CRE loans are cheaper than business loans.
They're cheaper than business loans?
What?
In all cases?
No.
No. Okay, not all cases. When is it and when isn't? Who does this apply to?
I think this is a really good one for equipment finance. Equipment or leases, they can be quite expensive. Sometimes the rates are 30, 40, 50, 60%. And so if you can do a CRE, get some cash out of your property, and then you would have interest-only payments, maybe 10 to 12%, it's a good fit.
Yeah, you know what, I think a lot of people don't actually realize the cost of equipment financing. Now, this isn't saying equipment financing is bad, because I think one of our next tips talks about how good it is. So don't take it wrong, but it is important to understand that cost.
Options.
Because typically you're looking at maybe a 5-year lease, and you have fixed payments, you can't pay it off early, you got to pay the whole darn thing, and if you amortize that, sometimes you say, wow, this is 33% financing. I have money in my real estate, I could pull it out at a 12% rate. That could be way cheaper. So make sure to weigh your options. Sometimes it makes sense to pay more in order to keep your, for other reasons that we'll get into later.
Right.
All right. And that's the next one. How convenient is that? What's the next one?
You want to save your cash for working capital. So let's say you rolled a bunch of money over from your BDRA and now you have a lot of cash. It may be better to use that for working capital, payroll, things like that, rather than purchasing your equipment with cash.
Hey, you know when I see this the most is with somebody who's starting a new business. And they say, I have $200,000 between savings and the cash financing that you got from me. I got 200 grand. I'm going to go open this restaurant. I'm going to buy $150,000 in restaurant equipment with that money. And you're like, what? That's a bad idea, buddy.
It's a lot.
You want to go do equipment financing as much as possible. I mean, startup restaurants are a little tricky as it is. Do the equipment financing and use that working capital to cover the debt service initially, because when you open that business, you are rolling the dice on how quickly your revenue is going to ramp up. You don't know if it's going to be 2 months or 2 years before you're cash flow positive. Frankly, you just don't know. It could be 5 years, right? So you want to be able to make it and preserve that working capital to make sure that you can make it.
Right.
All right. What's the next one?
The other one is you want to, particularly if you're a seasonal business, you want to fund before your down season. People are really excited to give you money when you have a lot of money, and then when you go down, they don't know if it's down for good or just down for a little bit.
Right. I mean, there's seasonal businesses. We see them all the time. And then there's also businesses where you know something's about to happen. Maybe you're going on maternity leave and you're not going to be around for a little while, and you're worried there's going to be a dip in the business, or you're going to be closed half the time. I don't know. That's the first idea I came up off the top of my head. But if you are looking for financing in advance of a downturn of some type, get it done before it happens, right? Don't go on maternity leave and then go apply for financing. They're saying, hey, what happened? Your revenue just dropped 50% this month. They say, well, I'm on maternity leave. That's a bad example, but you get the idea, right? What are some seasonal businesses that we know of?
I was thinking of a florist, or maybe a contractor or a snow plowing, landscaping business can sometimes be seasonal, particularly in the north. What else is seasonal?
A seasonal business I always think of are CPAs. We've been talking about CPAs.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
It could be super busy in the spring. Then they got a little fall run for the late filers. And then in December, they're scraping pennies together, right? So don't apply for financing in December. You're going to get horrible rates. Apply a little bit earlier while your revenue is still good.
Right.
And then, especially if you're looking for like a 3 or 5 year loan, do it at the best time possible, right after you filed an awesome tax return where you showed lots of net profit. All right, here's another thing that we see come up a lot is you incorporate your business, and then you kind of forget about it, and you're running your business, and you get these little notices in the mail. Hey, you got to file your statement of information, or hey, have you moved? You got to, or all sorts of stuff, right? You want to protect your entity status, because what happens if you don't?
When lenders look at you, they don't think you're in good standing. Maybe it shows that you're out of business or you're inactive, and it just means basically you haven't paid your fees to the state, and they require that in order to approve financing.
Right, so it's real easy to look up in a lot of states. In fact, you could go right now, look up your business entity, just type in your state, California SOS business lookup, or whatever state you're in. Type exactly that. You'll find a website where you can search for your business entity in your state. and you could see all sorts of stuff. Generally, you're going to see, is it active or inactive or terminated? There's different words for different states. But if it says something like inactive or terminated, you got trouble, right? You need to go back and try to resuscitate that puppy. It means you're going to have to pay some back fines, and those back fines are growing. And, you know, interestingly enough, if you let your entity go, somebody else could come along and just steal it. If somebody else comes along and starts paying for it, they could take over your business entity, and now you got to fight to get it back. So don't do anything like that. Do your payments. They're generally pretty cheap. We were talking like $25 or $100, $250 a year in some states. It's not expensive. In the range of things you're going to pay for in your business, make sure to do that ahead of going out to lunch with your staff all the time or whatever. All right, what's the next one we got here?
This one we've seen crop up a few times when people have a bad relationship with their landlord, and then they need their landlord to do something for them, and that is tough. So try and stay on good terms with your landlord.
Right. If you're calling your landlord a slumlord, and then the bank says, hey, how do you like this tenant? You know, this is not like a job interview where there are laws that protect you for whatever they're going to say. That landlord's going to say what they want to say. And it's difficult for you to take it back once it's come out of their mouth. And you're in a situation where you may need going to this landlord saying, hey, we got a leaky roof, and they may not do it, and you may want to unload on them, understandably. But if you're thinking about getting financing in the next couple of years, they may hold your life in their hands. So try to keep that relationship on as good a standing as possible.
Right. A lot of reasons. They may need to subordinate to the SBA. Some lenders may call just to make sure that you're current with your lease. A lot of reasons to stay current, stay friendly.
And that's a lot of different types of financing. It's not just SBA loans.
No.
So equipment lenders, working capital lenders will even do that. They'll require some sort of notice stating that you're current. All right, I think we're on the last one here, Darren. Are we wrapping this up? This is number 10, I think, maybe? Okay. What last but not least?
No, very important.
When you're going into funding, what is this?
Understand loan to value, or LTV, and what the program is and where you stand with your LTV for collateral.
Yeah, this is a real important thing. I remember when somebody first explained LTV to me, I totally got it wrong. I'll tell you how I got it wrong and how you can get it right. If you got a $1 million property with a $500,000 loan on it, that property is currently at a 50% loan to value. What I initially thought was, you got a $1 million property, $500,000 loan, you got $500,000 left, then they're going to look at a loan to the value, your equity, but that is not it. They're not giving you 500 grand. They're saying, out of $1 million, we're going to give you something less than that, and we're going to take the 500 out of it. I don't know if that's making any sense. You got a $1 million property, and they're like an SBA loan, they're going to generally give you 85% loan to value. That's how they're going to consider
the value of that.
So that means $850,000 is the total debt you can have on that property. If you already have a $500,000 loan, you're capped at 350 grand. That's way different than giving you 85% of 500 grand. What was that number?
If lender requires 100% security with your property. So there's
Right.
other rules, but these are broad examples.
Broad example. So 85 for SBA, CRE, it depends if it's residential, commercial, residential. We're looking 50 to 60%, up to 65 max. Commercial, 50 to 55, and really it's more 50, sometimes a little less. Land, what about land?
Land is...
You're really rolling the dice on that one.
Low.
That's a...
Yeah. Depends on where. Really, a lot of, for real estate, it's location, 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 and you really see that with land. I've seen as low as 15% if they want to give an offer on the land that's owned free and clear, depending on location. But, you know, if it's prime real estate, downtown Santa Monica, infill, they'll go up to 55, 60, and they may consider that as developed because it's entitled. So it just really depends.
I saw you get somebody a loan where it was 600% loan to value.
Yeah, that was unique.
So that'll happen, but
that was after repair value. It's not current value, so there are a lot of value.
You can't rely on that happening.
Right.
Anyway,
we don't guarantee funding.
Everything's guaranteed, right? If you sign up for us, it's like boom.
Denzel Washington, we guarantee it.
We do not guarantee it because we don't know what the heck's going to happen until it actually happens, right? So, with that said, once again, thank you for working with us. Thank you for being on the show. Subscribe if you're new here. We look forward to seeing you in the next year when we do our first of the year show. And for the next show, who are we looking for? What else? That's it?
Merry Christmas.
All right, get the heck out of here. Merry Christmas. Yep. Go see your family. Happy New Year.
Merry Christmas, Hana Kwanzaa.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, all of
Bless
them.
you. All right. See you in 2019.